The Jeffrey Dahmer Netflix series versus the 2002 Jeffrey Dahmer movie. With the most recent Dahmer show garnering the attention that it has, and it providing a long, dark, haunting and chilling depiction of the evil individual, I thought I'd take a look back at one of the first versions that was depicted on screen, and that was the 2002 movie titled Dahmer, which starred Jeremy Renner. I recently did a comparison comparing the 2017 movie My Friend Dahmer with the Netflix show, but I thought it was about time to compare these two. So let's get into it. Here is the Jeffrey Dahmer Netflix series versus the 2002 Jeffrey Dahmer movie. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers on the TV series and the movie. When looking at both the TV series on Netflix and the movie that was released in the early 2000s, it's clear to see that they took a relatively similar approach and focused on a similar timeline of events. This was when Dahmer was on his spree of killing individuals. The movie also incorporated a lot of the main things and traits of the individual that occurred in the show. The 2017 movie, however, focused more specifically on Dahmer's time during high school and the build-up to the killing of his first victim, Stephen Hicks, meaning it essentially served a different purpose, providing more of an outlook on his time in education. So the 2002 movie and the Netflix series is probably more of an appropriate match to do a direct comparison. I'll break this video down into different subsections. The portrayals of Jeffrey Dahmer. Evan Peters as Dahmer in the series on Netflix provided a version of Jeff that contained a lot of range. He had to embody the awkward nature of the character at school, the flirtatious version when he would lure his victims into his apartment, and he would also have to deliver the haunting version of the character that went far beyond the realms of what we perceive evil to be. Evan provided a genuine delivery that was haunting and showed growth, development, and also contained an amalgamation of different emotions due to the different time periods that he had to go through in Dahmer's life, from school right up to being jailed and killed. Jeremy Renner, on the other hand, portrayed a character where in the present, we were witnessing him carry out some of the killings that he committed, with flashbacks occurring. More specifically, it was the killing of Conrad. Renner contrasted the different moods really well on screen, and the sense that there was the evil side to him and also the awkward side too, whilst not really seeing him directly communicate with many people like we did in the Netflix show. We saw him have more one-on-one conversations with his family and the people that he'd meet, and you could really sense the space in the conversation. Loneliness was something that was present with Renner's delivery, and you really felt that he didn't want to be on his own. I wouldn't say as much as what you got with Peters, but Renner channeled that and turned it outwards towards the audience well. One thing that we got from Renner that we didn't get as much from Peters was the perverse mindset that Dahmer held, and we got this with some of the scenes which made for some real uncomfortable viewings. I would say that both of these actors provided great deliveries in their depictions, and the accents, looks that would be exchanged, and mannerisms felt spot on. I would have to say that I did prefer Peters' version though, although I do imagine if Renner had more time, such as 10 hours, he would have been able to have provided a version that was on par. The use of audio. One thing that I found connected both the series and the movie was the use of audio and the score that was behind the scenes that we were watching unfold. In the Netflix series, the use of whale sounds was something that was ever so present throughout, along with the score that provided tension and suited the journey of the scene that was unfolding. With the movie, we saw a similar thing. No whale noises, but instead of a score that went in the direction of the scene, I found it almost went against the grain and made you feel extremely uncomfortable when watching. But I believe it would have been intended, and it added to the scene in a completely different way, providing an uncomfortable visual experience, along with an uncomfortable audible experience. The use of the tools that Dahmer used was also a focus in the movie too, such as when he got the drill. The creator allowed us to hear everything as it was happening, and it made an extremely unsettling listen. Similarities and accuracy. As I mentioned before, the movie was almost a snapshot experience of what we got to see develop over the course of 10 hours on the Netflix show, so there were a lot of similarities that were seen between both. For example, in the movie, they brought up the mannequin being taken from the store and his grandmother finding it, the box that his father wanted to look inside which contained a head, the use of a drill in wanting to create human zombies that he wanted to keep. They incorporated the officers returning Saltone's son Conrad to the apartment after escaping, but there wasn't that much of a focus on Glenda and her daughter finding him, nor the police negligence or accuracy of the amount of officers. We saw the focus on the fish tank in the apartment and Jeffrey keeping the fish separate, which was slightly different to the series. We had Jeffrey's dad moving out after divorcing his mother, and then his mother also leaving him in the house on his own. There was also a scene of Renner's depiction with a baseball bat where he was hitting a tree, so that could be a subtle nod to the time that he was looking out for the runner. We also had the handcuffs and dancing with Rodney, who wasn't a real individual, but it could have been based off of Tracy as he managed to escape. There was a small detail which wasn't made a big deal out of, but there was a shot of the door in the 2002 version which contained several locks on it, which is how the door was described. And we also had Jeffrey meeting and killing Stephen Hicks, and being stopped by the police for swerving, with him being dismembered in bags in the back of the car. The similarities were clear to see, and it further supported that both the show and the movie stayed true to the real events that occurred. Rodney was not a real person in the Dahmer case, but it felt as though he could have been based off of Tracy, which is who we saw in episode 1 of the Netflix show. But instead, Rodney acted as more of a way of allowing the movie to unfold, and for us to see into Jeffrey's past based off of the triggering questions that he'd ask him, causing the flashbacks to occur. Overall review. I would say that the 2002 movie was very similar to the Netflix show that was recently released, in terms of the tone that it wanted to adopt. It goes further in the sense that there are certain shots that are extremely uncomfortable to watch, such as the holding of a weapon on somebody, the aftermath of dismembering, or the interactions with an unconscious individual, as well as all of the scenes that occurred in the club. Considering the show and the movie were made 20 years apart, I thought the lighting of the scenes in the apartment along with the grade were extremely similar, and it had an eerie mood to it. Renner did deliver a version of Dahmer that was convincing, believable, and contained breadth to it. It was just a more condensed version of Peter's depiction, due to the time frame that we got to spend with him. I did find the 2002 movie to be a little messy at points, in the way that it was told. This was with Rodney asking questions and then it flashing back. I didn't think it was the best way to go about it, as it did feel quite rushed and unnatural, as we'd only get a matter of minutes in each flashback. But I feel with the runtime that they had, they most likely wanted to tell as much of the case as they could. I think a 10-hour series worked well in telling the horrific true events, as there was more time that we were able to focus on everything. I would say that I did prefer the show, but the movie definitely has its place and is far better than the 2017 movie titled My Friend Dahmer. So I would say watch both, as you'll get two extremely haunting tellings of the events that unfolded between the late 70s and the early 90s. So, there you have it. The Jeffrey Dahmer Netflix series versus the 2002 Jeffrey Dahmer movie. If you want to see more videos such as endings explained, theories and predictions, and character breakdowns, then click on the I button. Or alternatively, you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. If you want to give me a show or movie that you'd like me to review, then head over to my Twitter, @brainpilot_, and tweet me what show or movie you'd like me to review next. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. What depiction do you think is better? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.